What's going on, guys? My name is Ryan Snod. It rhymes with odd, and welcome to another video. Today, we're actually going to do a long dialogue interview with my buddy Michael here, who is over in Europe. So today, we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics. We're going to kind of outline some of the things that we think a lot of filmmakers are kind of having as hurdles to overcome. Some problems that we're seeing with setting goals and having the right mindset to charge what you're worth. So this is going to be kind of a free-flowing conversation. I think it's going to be really fun to kind of hear a little bit about his background and his experience with kind of being a travel filmmaker and how he transitioned into starting to mentor folks all over the world. Michael has an online mentorship program that he mentors filmmakers to become more wealthy. Michael, thanks for coming on and having this conversation with me. It should be a blast.
Thank you, Ryan, as well. Like, it's gonna be amazing. I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
To myself, yeah. So originally, I come from Slovakia. It's like a super small country in the middle of Europe, and I was studying in the UK first, and IT and programming, and then I kind of switched to photography, like the more creative direction. And I studied in Germany in a film school, and then as things went on, I was like struggling a lot with exactly these problems. Like I didn't trust myself to ask people for money, and all of these things. And then after a couple of months, or like in total, like 1.5 years, I established my business. I got kicked out of the film school because now I just didn't have time for it. I was just like doing my thing. And then like 2 years in, I started to work with an influencer, and then like was doing his working as his personal cinematographer, traveling the world. And this also got me the idea to like start coaching this myself, like to kind of show people my knowledge and like the experiences that I went through. And I started the Videopreneur mentoring, which is now like a coaching program, mentoring program for photographers and filmmakers.
Sure. That's awesome, man. Because when did you, or how long did you travel with that influencer and kind of do that lifestyle? Because I know right around the same colder age, that was like, everybody's like, how do I get paid to travel and do all that stuff? I'm kind of curious, like how long you did it, what kind of got you out of it? Because I'm sure after a while, it's like it's not perfect for everybody forever, so.
Exactly as I say. So, what got me motivated in the first place was that I was stuck in Germany. Like I was young, I was like 21, 22 at that point, and I had my business running, but still like I wanted to travel the world and experience, different things in life. So then I like got this job with the influencer, and yeah, he was also a coach, so it wasn't like purely this influencer stuff. It was also like we were shooting seminars and actual content videos for YouTube, for social media. So that was like really good. That were like the best years of my life, probably. And yeah, after 1.5 years, I stayed there at that position for 1.5 years. I got to meet a lot of cool people, and then decided to just move on and just again do my own business.
That's awesome, man. Because do you live in the States now, or are you still over in Europe somewhere?
Exactly, in Europe. So right now, cool. I'll be actually traveling to Cyprus in a week.
Okay.
Because that's also one of the things like that allows us to be like very independent or like free, let's say, because now also it allows me to travel. Let's say I like to live on a beach with beautiful weather. I can do that and don't have to like stay in rain and cold in the middle of Europe, let's say, during the winter.
Sure. Yeah. And with, because I'm planning on going to Greece for our honeymoon. I just got married, but with the coronavirus stuff, we're kind of holding off until next year to go. Yeah. Thank you. And it was funny. One of my buddies, he lives on the coast in Southern Florida here in America. And just to fly I live in the Midwest, and to fly to him and back was only like $200. And that was it. Oh, wow. The airline flights are just ridiculously cheap because no one's flying. So it's kind of like enticing just to go, but then it's like, you kind of put yourself at risk. So that's fun though. So what do you think between like photo and video? What's like your favorite? What types of niches do you typically shoot, and what do you like to shoot?
Yeah. So since I didn't like, I was really struggling on the money side. Then once I got into it, I had my first couple of gigs in the commercial sphere. So shooting interviews, and like image films, and that's what I stick to, or like that. I so like, okay, it's maybe not like 100% creative, and like doesn't bring me like this joy, but it's not too bad after all. Like it was perfectly fine. Still, I enjoyed shooting it, and was also quite a lot of money. So that's image films, interviews, like commercial. There's like a couple of weddings, but yeah, this direction.
Sure. Because I know you said you went to film school. What's like some of the things that they don't teach you in film school in terms of like running a business and stuff. Like maybe talk about that, because I think a lot of people ask me, because I never went to film school,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, well, how do you know, but it's like, maybe we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, because to answer a question very clearly, pretty much nothing. Like they just show you. I mean, of course, there are some useful tips. Like it also depends, like from school to school. Like I'm not bashing on film schools, although I am a little bit. Like in my case as well, like it was the best film school in Germany, like really reputable, and people loved it. And I also loved it. Like the professors were good, the students, but still, like real life and university are like two different worlds. So I also learned, 80% of that was just physics and maths and security on the set, and points of lighting, and all this stuff. And then you go out, you have your first camera, and okay, how do I get my first client? So
Sure. That's awesome. Yeah, because when I went to school for business and for
mm-hmm.
sociology, so I learned kind of like the business infrastructures, and
Mm-hmm.
then taught myself the actual skill set of filmmaking and video and photo and that type of thing, like in my own time. So that's kind of interesting how
Okay, and
you
this is
go.
super interesting. Like, was it then also easier for you, like much easier for you to actually, establish a business and find these clients and talk to them and do the pricing? Because that's kind of what I observed. Like, if you go from the business world into photography and filmmaking, of course, like you have to have this creative feeling, right? But then, like once you have these principles and you have the right mindset, it's also much easier and faster to, have your own business.
Yeah, I would say for me, and I've just seen this from talking to a lot of creatives, you're either one or the other. You're either like a business person or you're a creative. And it's kind of hard. You have to like flex that other muscle on that other side of your
Mm-hmm.
brain to like figure out how to make it better. Because for me, I'm definitely through and through like a business person. I use videography and marketing as a way to create my own business and make abundance for myself and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
really my focus there. But I think for me, it's also like the benefit to getting more clients and doing the marketing and stuff is because I, one, understand it. I learned it in college and stuff. But two, I also understand like from a business point of view, what I can do to get them a result. Because a lot of times we're always talking about, man, that looks so cool, or what lens did you use? But it's like the clients don't care about that. They just want more
100%.
leads, more sales. They want more awareness, like whatever they want. That's what you need to be really laser focused on. So a lot of times that's what I find with creatives is that they get so focused on the technical stuff that they completely forget who the video is for, or what the intent is, or how you can use
Mm-hmm.
it to be in the marketing funnel to get a result, or however they're going to use the video. So that was really like the big thing that I noticed just from talking to other people, that
Mm-hmm.
I realized I was a little bit different in that way. So, and like I said, there's two ships. It's either business or creative, and then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
usually you're one or the other, and you have to kind of improve the other skill set. So that's kind of been my
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Yeah, 100%. Like I couldn't agree more, because it's the whole concept, as you said, like with those two different personalities, let's say, like either you're the entrepreneur and the business owner, or the creative, passionate artist. And that's pretty much like how I came up with the name Videopreneur, because it's like combination of videographer and an entrepreneur,
Sure.
kind of like, because you do need both, right? Obviously. So,
Sure.
mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting dynamic too, because a lot of times creatives that are really focused on the creative don't like to admit they're not the best at the business, or they think they are. So they have to kind of like take a step back and be like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I'm really not that good. Or in my case, if you're more of a business person, I always know there's somebody that knows way more about the actual technical filmmaking than I do. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Like you just have to kind of accept that and kind of be, put your ego aside and say, okay, I can always get better. So
Yeah, 100%. And then, like, as you said, it's also like just picking and going with what you know are your strengths, what you're good at, what you enjoy, and then you also don't care that some other filmmaker has like maybe nicer looking film, or like better transitions or whatever. If you are on your purpose, if you make a lot of money with that, if you help the clients, then yeah, it's a win-win-win situation, right? So, like, yeah, then also maybe like the super creative artist, maybe he's also perfectly fine with maybe just earning 1K per month, and just living his passion, just shooting, editing, and doing all of these things. So, like, yeah, you have many different perspectives.
absolutely. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, so you did travel video and photo for an influencer, and now you said you're kind of transitioning into that more mentorship role. Kind of tell me a little bit about how you got to that point and why you're wanting to kind of give back to the community and help other people kind of get there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love the question because that was pretty much my like two different core motivations. And the first one was that after I had this period, like first I was struggling, then I had my successful business, then I was traveling, I saw the world. And then I also got in the sphere of just like get to knowing high level entrepreneurs and like big worldwide companies, and like got a glimpse of the business world. And there are still like a lot of creative aspects about business, right? Running your own business with marketing, with sales, with pricing your services, negotiation, and stuff like this. So I got more into this, and then I also realized like, okay, also kind of like people started asking me on Instagram and in person, like, okay, how do you do this? Like, you got kicked out of film school, like before you were an IT geek. How do you now end up traveling the world and shooting for like huge companies, or like how to do this and this? And since I was always super introverted, like now it's probably hard to believe. But 5 years ago, I couldn't imagine just talking to other people or like being like this on a video conference. So yeah, like I didn't first. I kind of rejected the idea. Like now I have to teach people what to do, or like tell them what to do, or like shoot videos and be on calls. Like let me just shoot. Like let me just get my camera and shoot. But then I realized like yeah, it's a beautiful idea. And why not? Like if I do have this experience, if I know how to express this in a way that is understandable to other people, and they can benefit from this as well. I just didn't want, like now I kind of went through this phase where I like know all the bad things that can happen and that will happen if you don't consciously prevent them. I was like, okay, I don't want other people to go through the same as I did, because I just know exactly what are the right things. So that was kind of the motivation. Like pretty much the whole coaching or the whole mentoring started like if I was doing that for myself 3-4 years ago. Like
Sure.
with my, like that's exactly what I would tell myself, from like looking back.
Yeah, I know that's kind of what I always say. I make videos for 20-year-old me because I'm 25 now. So I'm always
Mm-hmm.
like, when I
Same as
was
me, yeah,
20 years
25.
old, it's like, what questions did I have? And I always try
Mm-hmm.
and remember. It's like, oh yeah, I was always curious about this or that. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
I go for my stuff. So
And then from your side, like what you what I find interesting, like since you have this very strong business perspective on things, do you then offer also like the whole marketing side of your, like to your clients when you finish the video or like you shoot some photos? Do you then also include the marketing side, like, hey, let me just publish this, let's build a funnel, let's run the ads, or how does that look for you?
yeah. So for me, with my clients, I shoot a lot of stuff for fitness, in the fitness industry. So supplement brands,
Mm-hmm.
gyms,
Mm-hmm.
cross
Mm-hmm.
boxes, yoga studios, those types of things. And been in that industry for a while. So for those businesses, I run a lot of the ads for them. So, I bundle that in my packaging. That's another
Mm-hmm.
way that
Mm-hmm.
I teach my students and other folks that I work with to upsell, because that's really the value. It's like you create this awesome piece of creative that gets the attention, that's really looks awesome, that makes their brand look great, but it doesn't like get them to the result, which is what they, like I said, what the
What
business
they
is
actually
paid
care about?
for.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So especially with gyms right now, it's, they want to have increased membership. They want to have less churn with their memberships, so people aren't
Mm-hmm.
leaving and stuff like that. So understanding whatever niche you want to shoot, find out what they want the most, and then figure out how you can use video to do it. So for me, that's running the ads. Sometimes it's if we're launching a product on Kickstarter, we did that. So
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of research on how do you structure the video on Kickstarter to
Oh
convince
wow,
people
okay.
to buy by the end. So I had a
That's
client that
super
we were
sick.
working with
Mm-hmm.
for it's called Flow Body. It's a at-home yoga mat that has a bunch of resistance bands and stuff on it. And they launched on Kickstarter, and they were really, really adamant about just having a huge launch. And I think they're shooting for like $15,000 launch, and they beat that in the first hour. I think they ended up getting to like $47,000 in sales in the first month. So it was all because the video is structured
Yeah, yeah.
based on Kickstarter, like how you sell it, because really the way that people invest on Kickstarter is you have to know the founder's story. Like
Mm-hmm.
whoever
Mm-hmm.
invents the product, you want to really buy in and be like, this person knows, like if I give them my money, they're going to turn it into something cool. So like that's really what we leaned on for that. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter is way different than YouTube. That's way different than Facebook ads. So you have to kind of know the channels and the strategy that way. But for me, that's kind of a huge thing that you can use for selling as well, because you could hire some guy in college or high school or somebody that doesn't know anything, or you can hire me that I work with businesses a lot. I work with brands. I understand the kind of intricacies of that, and I can help
Mm-hmm.
you use that strategy to get the result you want. So that's kind of a a good selling point by having that kind of basis in the back of your head. So
Yeah, absolutely. Because I also get this a lot. Like people are kind of like filmmakers are scared, to do any of this like Facebook ads or like publishing and like coming up with these business structures, let's say. And like it's exactly as you say. Like either you love it yourself and then you combine it and then it becomes like really valuable, or you just find someone like some of your friends or in your network or in your school, like a marketer, and then you just like couple with him, and then he does the whole marketing side, and then the client still gets the whole result. Like they are still super happy, and it just increases your value as well, basically.
Sure. And I always like testing things too, because like social media will change over time. Maybe that won't even be where you can reach people the best. So like I try and learn as many things about as many platforms as I can. Like I'm trying to always be a student with it. So recently I got really into email because email is such a big platform, especially now where everybody's at home. It's harder to reach people with events and things of that nature. So trying to just make sure that you understand like all the different platforms you can use email, social media, like YouTube itself is so different than Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So it's trying to figure that type of stuff out. And then I always use my own brand, my personal brand is kind of a guinea pig to test things. So like LinkedIn's really big for me for getting new video clients, because it's like business owners and marketers that are on LinkedIn. They'll kind of lurk a lot. I always call them the LinkedIn lurkers. They're always like looking at my stuff, and then I'll randomly get a DM that says, "Hey, I got a project, let's shoot," And then I'm like, I've never even heard of this person. Like, oh, I've been following you for like 3 years. I'm like, you've never even liked a post, not even one post. Like, I didn't even know you existed. So it's kind of funny, like seeing how people behave on each platform. So
yeah, but it's also super good that you now say that about LinkedIn. I also have I make the same mistake, and I kind of look for the instant results. But LinkedIn is definitely a long-term game. Like exactly as you said just now, like after 3 years, like this guy just reach out to you like, hey, let's shoot. I'm convinced. Like I see that you're the expert. Like, who are you? Yeah, I'm just like looking at your posts for 3 years. Never liked them, but now I want to do business. So.
Sure. And it's interesting too, because certain things will trigger certain things. Like when the Fire Festival was coming out on Hulu and Netflix, that whole documentary about the botched event that never happened in the Bahamas. I put a post out on LinkedIn about it. And it, for whatever reason, it was super timely and relevant, and it had nothing to do with me, but I was just kind of talking it through from a marketing perspective. And it got so much reach. I think it was like 4 times more than the amount of people that follow me saw it. Like the views and the reach and everything was really exponential. So I really think the biggest thing that I tell people too is like master, or at least get consistent on one platform, and then start kind of branching out, and always like make sure that you know who your audience is that you're trying to target on. And because with my YouTube channel and some of the other stuff I do with my personal brand, like I'm targeting videographers and trying to help them with growing their business. But then on the professional side, it's like I'm also trying to grow my freelance video bookings and trying to do more things with actual clients for businesses. So it can kind of get confusing if you just start trying to fire on all cylinders without having a plan, because it's really easy to drop the ball and not be able to consistently perform or get things out there. So
yeah, definitely. And especially now, because there are so many options, right? Like as you said, there's email, there's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, like Reddit. In person, you can go to events, you can organize events, so like if you just try to do everything at the same time, you're gonna do nothing pretty much. And just focus on one platform, master that, and then you can move to a different one and still like use 80% of the principles, right? Like you still know your target audience, you still know the messaging, and you just adapt to like a new platform pretty much.
Sure.
Because
So
for me,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention like you have these two sides of your business, let's say, and for me it's the same. Like well, now I make a clear difference. Like on the one side, on the personal side, I have this Videopreneur mentoring, which is geared towards filmmakers and photographers and to help them grow. But on the other side, I also do like consulting for video production companies and creative agencies. And like there is like very clearly like, okay, just let's make more money, let's increase the profits, let's increase the closing rate. So like two very clear distinctions. So I also have to like know when I'm talking to whom, because also like the target audience is different, their goals and intentions are different. So
sure. Well, I think one of the interesting ones for me is actually events went before the whole coronavirus thing was happening, because for whatever reason, whenever I went to an event, I'd always meet 1 or 2 people that I just really click with, and then they would almost always turn into a client or somebody that like down the road they would connect me with somebody down there too. So I think a lot of, especially if you're a creative watching or listening to this, it's like you have to really figure out how you can have like deep conversations with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's right now, it's really easy to just post on Facebook and be like, why am I not getting business? But it's like, if you can have a real conversation with somebody, ask them about their business and like, oh, I have a really cool idea. You could do this and this. If you want more advice or whatever, just give me a call. Here's my card. And then boom, like that type of interaction is just super helpful just for continuing to build that relationship. Cause I've had people that I've met at events that, again, 2 years later, they'll call me, but they met me there. That was the first touch point. We had a conversation after on the phone. We met for coffee, and then like they see all my stuff on LinkedIn every week for an entire year. And then once they're like, oh, I think I'm ready to do this, like obviously you're just top of mind. So it's kind of it's an interesting, like you said, I always say it's more like farming. Like you gotta grow the relationships until it blossoms into something really pretty, rather than going out like hunting for the business, because you can kind of get tired that way and it seems really pushy. So
yeah. And also what you mentioned is like super important, like the concept of like always be selling or always be closing, right? Because like you go in with the intention like, hey, I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to really try to understand what this person is about, what they do, what their goals are. And then you also present your offer. Like you tell them like what you do and how that can help them. And like, yeah, here's the business card. Let's do business together, like with this intention, because I think 90% of filmmakers, they don't have this mindset. They're just like, yeah, like if they like me, then they'll reach out to me, or like, which of course like doesn't work. If you still have to like have this clear intent, and you still have to give them the opportunity at least to, do business with you. So yeah, that's like on networking events or like whatever you are, like you can just have this mindset. Have your business cards in your pocket, like have know how to tell people what you do, right? Because a lot of filmmakers, like myself included, when people ask me, I was like, yeah, I'm a filmmaker. And okay, so what do you do? Like for whom? And I didn't even know, because like I was like so all over the place. So if you, I guess maybe this is also something that we can discuss. Like there's basically two different sides. Like either you just niche down and you become the expert for one thing, or you kind of do like multiple different things, or just, in the worst case, I guess, like you just take on everything that you can. So what's your take on this? Like, especially when it comes to filmmaking,
I would say,
like you focus on the sports and, these things.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, and I have a lot of my students ask me that in my course too. They're like, how should I niche down? Should I be generalist? If you're younger and you don't have like a family to support and you don't like need money right this very second, I would say start out as kind of a generalist and taste everything that you want. For me, I was like I'm super into fitness. I've been like an avid weightlifter for 12 years. Like I just love that industry, and I'm a consumer of the product. So I understand like how to market to me, because I am the ideal customer for it. So for me, I just love that industry. Some people love cars. Some people love just like photography, like studio photography, but you don't figure out what you love to do until you taste a lot of different things. So I always say like, just go and just try as many different things as you can till you find something you enjoy. Because a lot of people will chase the niches that pay the most. And that's really not, we don't get into this business to just only make money. Like you want to use that skill set and actually enjoy it. So for me, I tasted a lot of the fitness stuff. I thought I was actually worked with a couple that was an influencer for about a year as well in the fitness space. And I went to the fitness expos and the Arnold Sports Festival and all these huge events. I got to meet some really cool people. And I loved it from like a fanboy perspective, because I got to meet all these people. But just being in the industry as much as I did, and it didn't pay as much as I thought it would. So I was like, okay, I mean, I like to shoot it. These will be good passion projects, but I have to find niches that are willing to pay a little bit more. And then as I started to go, I really started to nerd out about the marketing, because I wanted to grow their YouTube channel and do all these things on Instagram. And I'm like, okay. So then as I went down that path, I figured out, okay, I really like working with businesses and helping them build a marketing funnel with the videos and getting them results. That's like what I really enjoyed doing. But I would say, like, if in a perfect world, you would start with one niche and just go super deep, and then be known nationally or globally as that person. Because I've lost a lot of videos to people that are specialized. Like I was going to do a local financial institution for an insurance company, and they hired a guy from 5 or 6 states over. They had to fly in. It was going to be 5 times more expensive, but he just shoots for financial companies. That's all he does. So he was kind of like the expert, if you will. So I lost the business to him for that. So I do see both sides. I think in an ideal world, you would start as a generalist, figure out what you like, and then kind of slowly niche down on it and become that person. But if you know what you like to shoot already, just go deep on one and just kind of be known for that. Because I think it's easy to say there's no money in whatever niche you like, but anymore, like if you just find a company or a high end persona that needs it, you'd be really surprised like what you can actually do in terms of a result for somebody. Because even if it's individuals, like a high end, high profile wedding, the average wedding in America for a video is probably between $2,000 and $4,000, but there are people charging $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for it. You just have to find the right people that are willing to pay for it. So it's kind of a finicky thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I literally don't have anything to add here. Like you described everything perfectly. And then it's also about sales, right? Like if you do have at least the basic sales principles, like that's what I always like to say, like it's the 80-20 principle, applying to like marketing and sales skills. So even if you are a filmmaker, you hate the business perspective, you hate the business side, if you just get to know and learn about the 20%, then you already get the 80% of the results. So then you can also actively just raise your prices just by knowing how to identify the problems of the people, how to like really present whatever you do as a solution to that, and then like really painting the picture of the value. Like it's not only about the video that you produce, but like the so many more things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting too that a lot of times people try and sell a video to a client they don't really understand what their problems are. I think that's really big too. If you're like, you want to shoot for, I don't know, like museums, specifically, just like, oh, I want to go shoot commercials for museums, and you just go into those meetings and not know anything about what the museum's trying to do, how they make money, what would benefit them. Like you're going to be dead in the water. So, and I shoot for a lot of different businesses even today, but I really like to kind of get under there and I ask them, okay, how do you guys generate revenue? And then, it's donors from here, or it's sales, or we have like one really huge point in the year, and that usually like that covers our money for the rest of the year. We just have to have this really big month or whatever. So try and really figure out where the money comes for them, and then figure out how you can just add as much value. Because a lot of times I'll ask them too, it's what's causing you guys the biggest headaches right now, and it's, well, we can't get consistent leads. And it's like, oh, okay, so if I could give you 20 new leads a month, would that help your business? Like, oh yeah, for sure. Because our salespeople can close 2 or 3 of them, and that's, X amount of dollars per month in revenue. So it's like reverse engineering what their dreams are and trying to like make sure you can actually figure out a actual roadmap to get there.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that then also like you probably have the same experience, and that the other person, like the other party, when you get to have this conversation, they also like respect you much more, and they see that you're the professional, that that you care about them, and they're also much more willing to pay higher prices and feel good about it, because now they trust you as an expert, instead of just you walking in kind of as you said, like with no clue, I make nice 4K films with slow motion with drone, nice, but like, okay, we want some results, right? So that's also a super important thing. Like if you kind of know the basics at least, and then have like ask the right questions, have the right structure, then also like from the client's perspective, or like the potential client's perspective, it's just much better experience.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting too, just like I said, the skill set you can grow, because like you said, you started out super introverted. What really kind of got you to be more extroverted, or at least able to talk to people without feeling sick to your stomach?
Yeah. Well, that was kind of the main reason why I even got into photography, because I was a lot, like as a kid, I was playing music instruments, I was painting, drawing, and stuff like this, where like literally didn't have to talk to anybody. I could just be locked in my room, and then I thought like with photography, I can just shoot the pictures, send them to the client, and I also don't have to like talk to anybody. Just like, let me do my thing. Here's your photos or videos, which of course I realized like after a couple of months of like not doing good at all. Like it doesn't work like this. So then I progressively just had to learn how to communicate, and then also it helps you like to understand these principles, because it also doesn't mean that if you're introverted or if you're not like too expressive or fluent, that you can't communicate effectively, right? Like if you know maybe what questions to ask, like kind of like exactly what we were talking about, like learn what the other person wants, what their goals are, what their problems are, and then kind of operate within those boundaries, let's say, or like these like play on those needs and wants, then like that's pretty much like what effective communication means, and selling after all, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah, I agree.
but yeah, of course it wasn't easy. And even now, like, it's not easy. Like, I have times where I can be like, I even want to like speak on a stage or something, but then like 90% of the time I'm just like, okay, I don't want to talk to anybody. Just let me be. So uh, then maybe like it's kind of like to give like a valuable point on this topic to whoever's watching this. Like, sometimes you just gotta force yourself to do things which you know are good for you, especially long term, because if you want to build a happy, self-sustaining, complete life that you feel good about, that also means that you just have to level up. Always look for the things that are holding you back, and just learning those things, going towards them, and yeah, this way pretty much anything is possible.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree and echo that. I think for me personally, that was really taking my knowledge online. I think a lot of times we're really fearful of that imposter syndrome, or there's always somebody that knows more than you or that
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
educate better or whatever. Because for me, I started doing YouTube and my Facebook groups and everything about 2 years ago.
Hmm.
So I had a lot of people asking me, "Hey, how'd you close that video?" Or "That was really cool. Like, what'd you charge for that?" And I tell them like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I can
Hmm.
never charge that type of price for a video." I'm like, "Well, it's really easy." And I'm like telling these people over and over, and everyone kept asking me the same stuff. So I'm like,
Yeah.
is there not any kind of resource that people can learn? So that's what kind of got me involved in like, okay, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'll do it for a
Hmm.
year. We'll see where this goes. And then I started a Facebook group also, because all the Facebook groups were industry veterans that were talking down to new people and trying to get them to quit in other groups. So I'm like, it's all like the guys that have been
Exactly.
doing it for 20 years are like, your lighting's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Oh,
these
that's it.
guys are just starting out. Give them a break. So I started my own group, and now it's got like 7,000 people in it. So I'm like, this is the
Holy
safe
crap.
place that all these
Mm-hmm.
people can hang out and not get talked down on by a bunch of old
Hmm.
guys. So yeah, that was kind of what pushed me, because then I had a lot of fear, a lot of doubt.
Hmm.
And for me, I've never really had that in my business, but for me, it was really on the internet, because obviously there people judge you all the time. So that was kind of
Hmm.
my time where I had to be like, okay, I know I can make a difference and help people, and I'm just gonna have to suck it up and figure it out. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then would you say, like, because you have this group, like, I unfortunately didn't check it out because my Facebook profile is disabled. But you say that you have 7,000 people in there. And would you say that, of course, like, there's a lot of inactive people, a lot of people that are not maybe like not really professional photographers and filmmakers, but like, it's still a huge number, right? So would you say there's also a big chunk of that audience in your course, or is it maybe just like 5 or 10%?
sure. Yeah, I would say kind of the Facebook group's more of a general catch-all. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of different people that are in there, and it's really engaged and stuff like that. There's people who are talking about business stuff rather than the gear. I mean, obviously you'll have a gear conversation here and there, but it's a lot of the business stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most of my course students come from YouTube, surprisingly. So
Mm-hmm.
my YouTube channel, I think, has over, right at this point, like over 5,000 subscribers. But I have a lot of videos that are ranked for popular topics around
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
filmmaking, and people get in my email list and then end up joining the course after a while. So it doesn't really come from the Facebook group. It's just kind of another place I can kind of help
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
administrate these conversations and at least get people talking about this topic, because a lot of people are in our boat where they're kind of like a solo operator. They
Mm-hmm.
run their
Mm-hmm.
business, they shoot, they edit, they do everything, and a lot of people are just overwhelmed with it and they feel like they're kind of on an island by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was just with my course students, with people on my channel, it's they feel like there's a little bit of community there, and that's really the what I'm trying to hopefully get to people, whether they buy a course or not. It's just like, feel like you're not the only person in the world that's doing this, because there's a lot of people that do. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I love it. Because I think that that's literally how it works. Like, when you have this vision, when you have these problems, and then you try to overcome them actively, like as you said, like, there was nothing out there online. So it was like, yeah, let me create a group, and now it's super successful. Now you got a YouTube channel, you got the course. So like, you just make people part of something that's already epic, that you give them a lot of value. And then for those that yeah, are really committed, they really want to make fast progress, then they also get to join your course, and then that's even better. So that's what I also notice now with when I do the coaching, that I know for a fact that 90% of people that follow me on Instagram, or that I just have the calls with, they not gonna join the program, the coaching, because yeah, like they are not that committed, and then those are unfortunately also the same people that maybe 1 year down the line, when we get to talk, like they're exactly the same position as they were 1 year ago. uh, which is like, for me, is like very sad to see, but at the same time I just realized like that's how it is. And all I can do is just like provide them with some free tips, with the YouTube videos, with some support. But yeah, like at the end of the day, like you have to decide, you have to make the first step. Like, yeah, now it's enough. Like I just want to charge higher prices, I want to get these better clients, I want to improve and grow in my life and in my business, and then you get to join the course.
Sure. Yeah. And I think, and that's with most businesses, with any kind of like you're getting service from someone else, there's always going to be someone that'll pay the money, but they don't want to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are going to succeed a lot, because when I did this, when I bought a course to learn how to create a course, because I didn't know how to do it 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I had the drive, I had the money to do it. And I also knew, like, if I'm going to invest in this, I'm going to use it to the most potential and create something really cool with it. Where a lot of people, I always use the fitness example, they can buy a gym membership but never go. And then they wonder why they're still like unhappy with how they look. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like if you're going to buy the membership and put money invested in it, you have to put the time in to get the results. So I think offering free resources is great just to at least get your name out there. But when people invest money in something or time, you better believe they're going to like try and get something out of it. Because I've even had people that have bought my course that have never watched a video. They like purchased it, and I can go in their activity feed and I see they haven't watched a single video, and I'll email them, hey, why haven't you watched the videos? And they just don't respond to me. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
So I'll take your money and you won't, I'm like, this is just silly, because I want to help them. Like you pay for it, you should get the result out of it. So I think there's different camps of different people, but really the people that can be lightning in a bottle for themselves, or when they can invest in something like that, whether it's a book, a course, a new camera, whatever they're going to do, and then put the energy and the effort and the time behind it to turn it into something even bigger. I think that's really the power.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's literally how it works. And that's also one of the reasons, or like probably the only reason why when I created the course, it wasn't like the traditional course, but it's more like a one-on-one experience where we have like live calls and WhatsApp support. So then they, like, since we have this like very close relationship between me and the students or the clients, then they are also way less likely to just be inactive. Or when I see like, hey, you're slacking off, like what's going on, like I kind of like make them execute. And then of course, like they get the results and they're happy, right? It's all about just the point where they kind of have to force themselves to put in the work, which a lot of people don't do, as you just said. Like someone just gets the program and then doesn't even open one video. So that's also the power of us as coaches, or like that's really what I see in my mentoring, that I work so closely with the people that they don't even have a chance not to get a result, not to implement this, because like it's also in my best interest as the coach. Like obviously I want to help them. Like that's pretty the reason why I do it. And also on the other side, like on the business perspective, like the more and better results they get, like the better testimonials I get, and then this also helps build my brand and my reputation. So like the main point is, it always makes sense to put in the work and execute.
Absolutely. Yeah. Action is always better than inaction. I think a lot of people, they can plot their day. I know a lot of people journal and they'll plan and they'll write things out, which I'm a believer in as well, but you have to execute on it. Like you can sit and write, oh, I want to do all these things, but how are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? What are you going to invest time wise to get what you want out of life? So I think having kind of a plan of action is important too, because I advocate for a lot of my students too. It's there's so many different routes you can go with this kind of career path. You can, if you want to travel the world, you can do like what you did earlier in your career. You can do that type of lifestyle. If you want just retainer clients, so you make $100 to $200 to $300,000 a year with 4 different people, it's like, okay, there's a way to get there. If you want to just shoot for golf courses and that's it because you love golf and that's all you ever want to do, you can do that too. There are just so many different routes you can go from making this into like a profitable career for yourself. So it's kind of interesting how many different ways people spin it.
Yeah, and it's also like hard to decide exactly, like since there are so many options, like for that individual, like for the photographer, filmmaker, it's kind of hard to decide. They feel lost, like, okay, what should I actually do? And then it's super helpful to actually have a perspective from someone like you, who like not only you have more experience and you kind of like see what's possible, what's not possible, like which direction you should go, but then also like I guess since you have like every student is different, then you also see the patterns, like, okay, you can do this, this, and this, and then like you might just go more with the creative side and not make as much money as we mentioned before, or just like you focus purely on the business. So then, yeah, like you also provide the clarity and like a very clear structure for the people on what actually to commit to, like how to find your or purpose, let's say, and then stick to it and just execute and implement and make progress.
Sure, for sure. What would be like, what types of different people do you have in your coaching and your mentorship? Is it like what's the biggest difference in people? Is it like location in the world, or is it like interest, or like what's some of the differences that you guys have with your mentorees?
So the mentoring is mostly aimed for two different like client avatars or like types of photographers. So on one side, those are aspiring photographers and filmmakers who got their first camera, and maybe they are in a 9-to-5 job that they don't really like. Could definitely be a high paid job, like a perfect job. They just realize like, okay, this doesn't allow me to be that creative or that free, and they would love to turn photography or filmmaking full time. And they just don't know how. Like that's one type of person. And then on the other side, those are like already either beginner or like established photographers and filmmakers who are just looking to scale up to get more clients more consistently, raise their prices, be much more confident when they communicate with the clients. Kind of also design their lifestyle so they are way more successful overall, because then executing is also about just developing the right habits and the right mindsets. This is kind of like what we cover in the coaching. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's all about just like communication between people, the networking, because you probably notice yourself, like with having a successful business, it's about the people and the connections you make. So that's also one very important aspect that I've noticed myself. Like since I was always unable to like socialize and communicate with people, like as soon as I got a little bit better at this, just many more opportunities opened up. And that's also one aspect that photographers and filmmakers they kind of ignore or don't realize, that you actually do need to be a nice person. You need to like communicate with people, share the value, help people out, and then this way you also grow and just get more possibilities in life.
What do you think is the biggest mistake that you see solo videographers doing with their business, and what you would suggest that they do in terms of getting clients, sales, all the things that you teach people? What's the biggest thing you see people doing that's kind of a problem they're doing?
Yeah, that's again like a super good question, especially now for the conclusion, because I think we mentioned a lot of these things kind of spontaneously throughout the interview or like throughout the dialogue. And one thing which I really like that you mentioned at the beginning is the ego. So a lot of people, like I would say 95% of people, they still have the ego even without them realizing this, and they make, let's say, 1K per month, and they're like, yeah, I know it everything. Like there's pretty much hard for me to like see what I'm not good at. And I'm like, dude, like you're making 1K per month and you have this mindset. Like, how do you expect to grow? Like, and that's the same person that is always wishing for more clients, to raise your prices, to travel, maybe to be more free, to do whatever. But then they have this ego preventing them from actually getting that, So it's always like one of the most valuable skills or like characteristics to have, is to just be able to say like, okay, maybe I'm already successful, but it's nowhere near as what I want to be. And there's a lot of things that I'm completely bad at, or there are people that are way better than me. So if I want to grow, just let's get their help, let's seek out their help, let's implement that. And then this way they are able to progress. So like that's one thing. And then the other thing is, which is also connected with the first thing, like they just maybe are so focused on just filmmaking and photography that they don't even know about this whole world about business and like how to talk to the clients, how to charge your like how to increase your prices. Because that's also what happened to me a lot. Like when I talk with these people, like that I talk with a lot of photographers and filmmakers now, because the only way you can actually get into the program is through a phone call with me. Like you can't buy it online. So yeah, I at this point, I think I talked with like 200 photographers and filmmakers personally. And some of them are, like they have this mindset that, or not even mindset, like when I tell them like they're maybe charging 500 for a project or 300. And then I ask them like, okay, have you ever tried to charge like 1,000 or 1,500? And they're like, no. Like, why not? And then they're like, oh, they get this like eye-opening experience, like, oh, maybe I could just ask for double as much. And then like that's also like part of the mindset, I think. Like they don't even know that there was a good phrase for this. Like I can't remember now, but it's pretty much like, if you don't know what's possible, then you're also not looking for it. So then
Right.
it's kind of your job to like always try to find out what am I not good at, what is holding me back, and then actively seek for the answers. And then you get to learn about all of these things.
Right. That's such a powerful point. I think mindset, no matter what business you're in, you have to visualize like what's possible, right? Because there's so many people out there that have the skills to make 6 or 7 their business. They just aren't willing to ask for it because they don't feel like confident enough in their ability
Mm-hmm.
to ask for it, and they see themselves as a lower quality than what their clients would, and they'd probably pay more for it. So that's a great point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of the things I was going to mention too, just in closing, the two things that I see, I know you mentioned two things, the two things that I see a lot of people kind of struggling with really is, one, having goals. So they don't have a goal of what they want to be with their business. Do they want to run an agency? Do they want to have 10 employees? Do they want to travel the world? Like, what do you want your lifestyle to be? Because when I was first starting out, I was kind of learning that type of stuff. And now I'm married. We're going to be starting a family soon. Like, I don't want to be traveling the world doing, being gone from home for 9 months straight. Like, that's not what I want for my life now. So it's like, you have to
Mm-hmm.
really picture it in your mind. Goals are huge, knowing like where you want your business to be, whether you have employees or what types of videos you like to shoot. And then I think one of the other things also would just be pushing the envelope with price. So I always say, out of all the projects you pitch, you should probably have half of them say no based on it's too expensive, and like just continue to push that. And like, if you're pitching 10 people a week and 8 of them are saying yes, not even glancing at the price, you should start increasing slowly, like go up 10%, 20% as you go up to the point that people start saying no because it's too expensive. That's when I think you're going to find where you fit well with your niche. It's like something that I suggest to my students to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just like having fun with it and just trying new things. Cause I think a lot of people they'll get fear of missing out, or they'll see, hey, so this person's killing it in weddings, or this person's killing it in corporate, I should just go do what they're doing and copy what they're doing. But really, there's so much flexibility with this. You can
So true.
shoot any niche you want and just have a lot of fun with it, and then figure out kind of the monetization piece as you go along. So that would be my biggest tip.
Yeah, super powerful. Like, I think people, well, I hope for whoever's watching this, that you got a lot of value out of this, because like, even just us having this conversation very spontaneously, I learn a lot about from you. And there's like a lot of really important points that we mentioned, like not even specifically like, hey, as in university, like, let's learn about marketing, let's learn about sales. But as we go through the conversation, there's like so many powerful things that people can use for whoever's watching this or listening to this. Like, definitely just go rewatch that, make some notes, and then implement that, start raising your prices, start getting the better clients. And that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, but thanks for inviting me. I appreciate you hopping on the call. It's kind of fun. We're talking to each other on different parts of the world, and it's kind of cool how technology works. We can kind of have this conversation. So
Absolutely. I also super appreciate your time, and I really enjoyed this conversation. Like, even if it wasn't on video, even if it wasn't published anywhere, still was a really, really good conversation. So,
well, thanks so much, Michael, for hopping on the interview today. Where can people find you and learn more about your program?
Thanks a lot as well from my side. It was really a good time here, good conversation. And they can go to my website. You can go to my website, videopreneurmentoring.com, and there you can learn more about myself, about the mentoring. You can book a call with me directly. There is a free training as well. So yeah, just go to videopreneurmentoring.com, and that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.